Good afternoon, San Diego. You are listening to KSA Insider, and I'm your host, Chris McCullough. And KSA Insider is a show that focuses on consumer protection and education in real estate, and is here to help protect you from all the potential pitfalls and predators that are out there waiting. They're definitely out there, folks, and that's why we created this show. So today, I'm extremely excited to talk about the truth behind solar. Solar over the last 10 years has become like the thing. It's the new hotness, and you see it all over everybody's homes. Everybody's excited to tell you about their new solar equipment, and they even put signs right out front and say, "I have solar." So it went from being a curiosity to a commonplace, and getting solar active on your home, because it's become so mainstream. There's a ton of benefits, and everybody knows about them. Everybody knows that it saves with the greenhouse gases. It saves with clean energy, and it helps your electric bill to get away from SDG&E, that evil person. So what we're going to do is basically try to cut through a lot of that and what the media is talking about, because at the end of the day, a lot of these solar people, they are salesmen. It's sales. So what is the truth about solar? How do you protect yourself? And what are the benefits? And knowing all the different angles. And I tell people this all the time. Here's the truth. There are going to be people that take advantage of you, or there's going to be people where if you educate yourself, you choose to be taken advantage of. And as long as you're going into the decision eyes wide open, that's your choice. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We talk about the hero loan. I think the hero loan is it works for a lot of people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And that's what I want to do is talk about all that. So with that said, thank you again. Good afternoon, everybody. I got a few people here. We're going to talk about that. How is everybody?
Doing fantastic.
Awesome. So let's go around the horn real quick. Let's introduce ourselves. We'll start over here with you, John.
Yeah, my name is John Silvester, and I own a company called JDS Power, and our specialty is aesthetically pleasing, high-performance solar. That's
aesthetically pleasing, high-perperformance solar. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Kevin?
I'm Kevin Trafford with Semper Solaris, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
We provide high output solar and give a wide variety of options for our customers to choose from.
Awesome. And of course, we have Kim Steele herself. Wonderful, amazing, beautiful Kim Steele. Thank you for joining us, Kim Steele. A little bit about you.
I am Kim Steele. I'm the team lead of Kim Steele & Associates, part of Signature Real Estate Group. We're based in Fallbrook. We provide full-service real estate to all of San Diego County and Lower Riverside counties. And I'm here to basically provide a transactional or sale of the home, sale of the property perspective on these different solar programs.
Well, that's important because, I think when you start talking about a lot of these, if we were doing a lease, right, and we'll talk about the difference between doing a lease and not doing a lease. If we were doing a lease, you're talking about being in a commitment with somebody 20, 30 years. I mean, there's marriages that don't last that long. So you're talking about being in a commitment for 20 or 30 years. And at the end of the day, if you're not going to be in that commitment for 20 or 30 years until the solar's paid off or the lease is taken care of, then you got to talk to real estate agents. So that's why I wanted to get your perspective today, Kim, is, okay, great. We made this creative finance option or whatever it is. Now what? We want to sell our house. Okay, awesome. So let's just jump right into it because I'm really excited to get into this. We only have an hour. And it's funny because whenever I put together shows, it seems like they should be a show for 2 to 3 hours. There's just so much content that we really want to pass. So first off, we've all heard of the benefits of putting up solar on our house. Is it really a benefit or is it just smoke and mirrors? And I ask this genuinely because I'm not a solar guy. I don't pretend to be a solar guy. I know of solar. I have solar on my house. I have on my last houses. But is it truth or is it smoke and mirrors? What are the benefits?
Go ahead, Kevin.
I think it's all truth. It's for most families, it's a huge advantage. Basically, you're locking in your power rate at a lower rate throughout the term of the panels. And most panels, everybody's panels today, typically come with a 25-year performance warranty. So they're going to last you for quite some time. There are different programs out there. Some will be more beneficial than others.
Right.
Just like anything else, cash is king.
Right.
Typically, you get the best rates when you're able to pay cash for the systems, but there are ways to finance those, either through leases, power purchase agreements, or PPAs, and financing through the banks. The beauty is there's no money down anymore. The banks have cooperated. A lot of the companies have been able to change how they do their practices.
That always scares me, though. I gotta admit, whenever
free, huh?
Right, nothing's free. So every time I hear, there's no money down. Whoa, let me turn that off. Start feeding back a little bit. There's no money down. It always scares me right away because it's one of those things where we know that's not truth. There's money somewhere. Somebody's making a profit off it. Now,
Absolutely.
if it can ease transition or transaction, I think that's important as well. So, it's no different than a home mortgage. So I get it. But I mean, so are there any negatives?
The only negatives are when you sit down with somebody that may not be doing the best service for what your personal needs are.
Okay, good. I want to talk about that.
That's part of where sitting down with a professional that understands the industry can really make or break the difference in how your system is designed, both from a shading standpoint, sizing systems, and just overall suiting the best project or opportunity for your particular needs.
Okay, awesome. So right over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. The question was, is there a benefit? And you wouldn't be hearing the radio just saturated with ads right now if there wasn't a benefit, right? People are quickly figuring out, hey, I can pretty much go solar for, what I'm paying now or less.
Right.
And, one of the big drivers in the industry, what really got it started was, when Solar City started doing the, they started doing the leasing, and that was kind of a revolutionary model. And that was the beginning of the zero down. And what's happened now is the industry has caught up, and they've figured out ways to offer zero down programs without having to do a lease.
Right.
And so that seems to be the transition.
Okay, that's interesting. So a zero down program without doing a lease.
Yes.
That's interesting. See, I didn't know that. That's complete news to me. I know the Solar City model very well. A good friend of mine is a regional manager out here, and I know that, but I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the banks now and even credit unions are starting to offer programs that are very competitive. And what we typically see is
banks
that
and credit unions.
Yeah, credit unions.
Banks and credit unions are involved in this because you're talking about the solar industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I think Solar City, you hit it right on the head. When you started talking about putting together a billion-dollar portfolio, they were the first.
Yep.
Right, and they were doing that with mostly private investors, things like that. So now we have banks and credit unions that are getting in the game.
Right, and that's I would say, Kevin, you can answer this also, but I would say that's really fueling the growth at this point. There's a place for lease, even still, but typically speaking, it's driven off of your tax liability. If you come across a person that really has no tax liability for whatever reason, and there are sometimes multimillionaires with very little tax liability. Right. Don't want to get into the politics of that too much, but anyway,
not right now. Not after.
Not on this show.
After the elections. After the elections.
But it can happen. So for whatever reason, if that is your scenario, then you may actually benefit more so from a lease. But for probably 95 out of 100 homeowners, I would venture to say that you're going to have some tax liability over, the coming year or the next couple years. And in those scenarios, it typically pencils much better to actually find a way to purchase. And
so basically it's harder if you're wealthy.
Sort of.
Not exactly,
but I guess that's the big one for me. Okay, programs everywhere. I'm sure everybody's seen the little memes online and stuff like that. But it's true. It seems like every time and I did a ton of research before this show because, like I said, I'm not a solar expert by any stretch of the mind. There's like a bazillion programs. So can you guys maybe in a nutshell kind of roll up what programs are available when somebody wants to buy solar?
Sure.
I'll do lease and PPA if you want to do purchase.
Sure.
Okay. Cool.
I saw PPA, and of course, there's nobody explains what the PPA acronym is almost anywhere online, unless you go into a solar company's website, and then of course they try to lead capture you. So I was
it's a power purchase agreement. Basically, it's just you're buying the power that's produced from the system.
Okay.
All systems with solar, our goal is to design it at least to 100% of what you've been using. So we take your track history and then we design a system accordingly. For some people, if they're looking to add pools or different things, they may want to look at expanding that. If they have kids that are about ready to leave home, they may want to be doing a little bit less. So that's part of where sitting down with somebody and understanding what the needs are, not only today, but what their future needs are, will make a big difference. And like John was saying, for some people, a lease or a PPA, which are very similar in terms of how they're approached.
Right.
They were the first zero down programs.
Okay.
They're the ones that still to this day lead the market. But even with Consumer Reports just a couple months ago, they said that now is the time that purchase makes more sense for the majority of folks.
Okay, then so I know it's later in the segment that I'm going to get deeper into this. Is there a limit? So you were talking about the future growth of the family, all the different potential possibilities. Can you overbuild leading into the future of your home? My concern is that at the end of the day, we know SDG&E, even though the whole point is, and everybody says, oh, I want to get rid of SDG&E. They're awful. Are they really cut out of the picture? You know?
Yeah.
They're still your backup. And you're kind of still in a marriage with them.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we'll talk about that later. And I guess that's my thing. Do they end up capping you out with the two programs that you're just talking about?
Well, the nice thing with a lease is they were the first one, zero down.
Right.
PPA, same thing. They typically will start on a payment program a little bit lower than what you would be paying on a purchase.
Right.
But typically between year 5 and 8, you're going to already start recouping that if you had done a purchase instead.
Right.
So that's really kind of where sitting down and analyzing each homeowner's needs. And like John was saying, if they don't have a need for the tax credit, if they don't have a tax appetite, they don't owe for whatever reason. Right. Then a purchase isn't going to do them any good. They're going to have that money just sitting there that they can't utilize. Right. Now, sometimes it's just a matter of, my check takes it out every time, and they don't think about it. They just get a check back at the end of the year. And it's our job to help educate, well, do you pay taxes through your paycheck each week? Right. And if so, then let's see if we can readjust that and help you look in the next direction.
And what other? So you talked about?
Yeah, so so Kevin's mentioned there's the lease and the PPA, and those are basically what are called third-party ownership models, right? Where somebody actually owns the asset that is on your roof. And, the other way to do that, of course, is through a purchase. And I think that, one of the key points to this particular show, and Kim and I were talking about this before we got started, is what is the impact when you start talking about real estate transactions? Right. And, the reality is there are some times where leases and power purchase agreements make a little bit more sense, but you have to be prepared that there's going to be a little bit more work to be done when it comes time to either refinance or to sell. And, for those reasons, I actually have a little bit of a background in real estate myself. And so for those reasons, I typically will, usually try and encourage people to purchase. Again, it depends on their situation, and it's really probably a good discussion for them to have with their tax person. Hey, can I really take advantage of this? How long will it take me? But that's one of the key delineating factors that you really have to think about. And Kim's perspective on that earlier was really fascinating. Hearing some of the stories that she was telling about what she has to deal with at the point that it comes time to actually sign the deal.
Awesome. So we got to take a quick commercial because, as you guys know, that's how we pay the bills. It is ESPN 1700. So let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. I want to come back to some of this. I want to include you next, Kim, because I want to start talking about some of these other programs that I think are important that we hate as real estate agents and make it difficult. Okay, thank you, everybody. KSA Insider, stay tuned. Keep listening in. We got to pay the bills, and we'll be right back.
Ty-Court Title of San Diego is the next generation of title companies. They offer their clients the most complete real estate services in the nation. They have 4 convenient locations in the greater San Diego area to service all your residential and commercial transactions. Ty-Court Title of San Diego offers you title and escrow solutions. Whether you are buying, selling, or refinancing, they have you covered. With over a century of experience, you can count on Ty-Court Title of San Diego. They have a solid history of servicing customers with high integrity, white glove service, and value. They also have unrivaled financial strength to back your policies. For all your real estate transactions, call Ty-Court Title of San Diego today at 619-260-5200.
Alliance Escrow, the most reliable and hardworking escrow team in San Diego. Buying, selling, or refinancing a home can be a stressful event, and our friendly staff here at Alliance is ready to make your home buying or selling process as smooth as possible. We strive for outstanding customer service and are very dedicated to giving top quality service to each and every sale. Alliance Escrow will provide a special discount to active and reserve service members and disabled or retired veterans as well. Whether it's residential, commercial, bulk business, or refinance, call Alliance Escrow today and let us help you close your deal as seamlessly as possible. Call 619-609-0015 or go to www.allianceescrowinc.com today. That's 619-609-0015 or www.allianceescrowinc.com. Alliance Escrow, your partners in real estate.
Think forward, think forward. Go to Fuller Honda, where they exceed your expectations from test drive to delivery. Their professional sales team is committed to a no-pressure, high-integrity approach to your ownership experience. Best of all, the new Honda lineup features some of the best fuel economy on the market, along with contemporary styling at affordable prices. The Fuller family has been servicing San Diego's automotive needs for over 60 years. Fuller Honda, exit Auto Park Drive off the 805 freeway in the Chula Vista Auto Park.
Remind your friends, remind your family, and remind yourself. If you've received your INE, you need to activate it. Get it done so you will be able to vote. It's very easy. You can even do it online. You just need the folio number and your date of birth. If you have family or friends abroad, remind them to activate it as well at ine.mx. Their participation also counts in Mexico.
His name is Rafael Barosa. He's a doctor from Tepic, Nayarit. Crossing the border used to take him 4 or 5 hours, but now with advancements at the crossing, it has taken him as little as 2 minutes, allowing him more time to do his job efficiently. Like Rafael, thousands of people benefit every day from the new airport pedestrian bridge, the Tijuana-San Diego Cross-Border Express. They save time and arrive sooner at their destination. Good things are not always spoken, but they count for a lot. Get to know more at gob.mx/SET. Government of the Republic.
Turn down that radio!
If you finally decided to address your hearing loss, the MD Hearing Aid Air is a medical-grade hearing aid that costs up to 90% less than traditional hearing aids. Designed by a Chicago doctor, the MD Hearing Aid Air has a sleek, nearly invisible profile. This digital hearing aid incorporates technology and features found in hearing aids costing thousands of dollars. The Air offers advanced noise reduction, making speech clearer and virtually eliminating annoying background noise. 3 environmental settings put you in control. You select the best setting for your location. Call 1-800-758-2010. Over 100,000 satisfied customers have already made the call. Call right now for our exclusive 45-day risk-free trial and get free shipping and a year's worth of free batteries, a $50 value. Call MD Hearing Aid at 1-800-758-2010. Satisfaction guaranteed. That's 1-800-758-2010.
All right, we are back, San Diego. Good afternoon, KSA Insider, looking out for you, consumer protection, and all things real estate. Today we're talking about solar. I have the solar experts here. I also have like an expert real estate agent in San Diego to talk through some of this stuff as well. And, so far to this point, we talked about some of the programs and all the ins and outs, but I really, the big thing about this show is that we really start asking some of the deeper truths. I want people to listen in and get educated. So I want to roll right into a concern that I've always had. I've had solar, and this is probably my biggest concern. We talked about you're looking at a 20 to 30-year marriage unless you purchase solar outright, correct? So if you do a lease or some type of other option, you're with them for 20, 30 years. Now imagine if I bought an iPhone 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the iPhone, they come out with a new version every year. Every year they come out with a new version of iPhone. So my concern, 10 years from now, is there going to be better equipment? 10 years from now, am I actually losing over my neighbors because I did go with one of these zero down options? Can I break the lease? Can I walk away from the lease? Can I demand that they upgrade the equipment and change out the equipment? I don't know. But that's one of my major concerns, and I'm sure it is for somebody else.
Sure. Yeah, it comes up every once in a while. Reality is, equipment's going to get better. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
It will get more efficient. It may get smaller. They've experimented with tiles. They've experimented with windows. Reality is right now, those
it's like a brick phone. 10 years from now, I'd imagine it's a brick phone.
Yeah.
And people
reality
are like, oh my
is
gosh, look at that house.
It's not going to be efficient in today's environment.
Right.
10 years from now, it might be. However, you've got solar panels up on your roof, and they may not look as pretty as the new ones, but they still function 100% for 25 years. They are going to degrade some. So they are going to have some efficiencies that come off of what they produce. However, they are still working. They are still producing power. And at any time, if they're producing less and you need more power, typically you can add more panels.
Okay, so you can add more panels in the future. It's an option. But you can't just say, I think it's ugly. It's hurting the sale of my house. I want you to replace it. And that's my concern.
Without buying them outright.
I was trying not to interrupt Kevin, but we see this all of the time. Even something that's hidden in relatively hidden on the property, like an AC unit. right? An air conditioning unit. Usually where that's installed, it's like at the back of the house. It's like where the dogs hang out usually, or the trash cans. But people see an older AC unit and they think one of two things or both. Either it's at its end of life and it's going to fail soon, it's going to cost me money, and B, it's ugly.
Yeah.
It's ugly, it's rusty, it looks ugly, it looks like a piece of trash on my property on this beautiful home.
Even if you do maintenance,
and buyers,
I can't imagine it holds up that
especially
long.
at the competitive price points, and we know what those are in our different markets that we work in, where there's 85 homes for sale at a given price point that they can just move on to the next one. If any one little thing is not perfect, they will just move on to the next one. So sellers or homeowners, if they're considering selling in the next 5, 10, 15 years, they're going to be thinking about that if they're smart about how the market really works, because buyers are picky.
Right.
Extremely picky.
True.
Yeah, there's two topics we touched on there. The first one was efficiency and how things are going to change, and the second one is aesthetics, and both of those are very near and dear to me.
It is. It's very important.
Yeah, let's just go back real quick on the efficiency side of the equation. So that's a question we get a lot. Well, shouldn't I just wait? And it's important to understand, a lot of people have this expectation that solar is just like computers or technology, and we're gonna see something that's twice as fast and half the cost
Cheaper,
in a year or two, and that is not at all the case.
Not even close.
When you look at the efficiency gains that have happened in solar, they're generally measured in tenths of a percent year over year. So I think that's important to understand, right? So
you know what? It just hit me. And I don't know if you're going to go this direction, but I'm curious. So, because I think it's important for what you're saying. I guess when I look at electricity, it's more of a commodity, right? So if it's electric,
so.
Okay. So am I on the right track here? Okay. So it's no different than oil. It's no different than
It's just changing the way that power gets delivered. That's all.
Right. So I'm assuming even though the equipment may get cheaper, electricity, I can't imagine it's going to get any cheaper anytime soon.
No.
If anything, it should continue to rise. And I would assume that the investors, banks, credit unions, whoever's invested in this, they're an investor. They don't want it to be cheaper for you. So is that maybe part of why it's not going to get cheaper as well?
Well, the solar itself will continue to fall in prices as they start to, scale manufacturing, which they have very much done so over the last 5 or 6 years. But again, the thing I want to address is this expectation that we'll see like these Moore's Law parallels where things are going to get, twice as good and half as cheap is just not really the reality of solar. Again, efficiency gains are generally measured in tenths of a percent. And that's not to say that there aren't a pretty big variance depending on what technology you use.
Right.
But for the most part, it's been pretty static. Going back to the aesthetics, that's a big deal. And I very much am in agreement with you, Kim, about that issue. We've had falling outs with designers over, them telling us, hey, we really need to position it this way because of the performance of the solar. I just can't be involved in a solar system that doesn't perform to 100% its potential. And I will say no, we cannot put it on the front of the house.
Right.
That's not gonna.
It looks hideous.
Yeah, you're taking value from the asset.
Well, you're talking about
Yes.
and something as simple as a solar. If you do it wrong, you're talking about maybe losing anywhere from $25,000 to $100,000 depending on the price point or more.
Depending on the price point in the market, I have absolutely seen minor aesthetic details of a home can change the value $25,000 to $100,000.
We just had a home recently, $100,000 difference because of a minor aesthetic that could have been
maybe
addressed.
cost $5,000 to fix.
Right, exactly,
Right.
and that's so I get so that makes sense. Let me go back because I want to retool what I said as I'm listening to what you're saying. You're saying twice as good, half as cheap. And I think if I were to view it from the buy now perspective, it would be mostly buy now perspective if you're looking at doing a lease or something along those lines, because again, and I could be wrong, and this is why I'm asking. That's why I'm here. I'm in this position because, what's funny? What's cool about this show is I bring on people that these are true, genuine curiosities of my own. So I get an opportunity to do this show, but I get to ask a bunch of questions to experts that I want to know. So if I were looking at it blindly, I would sit there and say, if energy isn't getting any cheaper, if I can lock in a rate from now at this price for the next 20 years, would it not be smarter? And now, is that true or false?
Well, the reality on even a lease, which, just like with a car, what's a better option, a lease on a car or a purchase of a car?
Purchase of a car.
Purchase of a car will always give you the best return.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I feel like whenever people try to pitch solar, they just pitch what I just said.
Well, like we were talking before, leases were the first ones that gave you zero down options.
Right.
So with that, a big chunk of the market. The top 5 companies in the industry push primarily leases, and they do it because there's more profit in it, probably similar with car dealerships. But the reality is when you go to purchase right now also, they're subsidized. So whether you were having that discussion now or later, there's 30% federal tax credit available today and for the next year or so. Then after that, they'll start to gradually bring those things back down. As those goes back down, the price decreases that we're seeing in production are no longer subsidized by a tax credit. And even with a lease, jumping back over to that for a second, SDG&E goes up, let's say 6%. They're typically higher than that, but let's give them benefit and say 6%.
Let's say they're being generous to the public.
On a lease or a PPA, you can typically get those at 2 to 2.9% increase where you lock it in. So you're always less than the utility, and typically you're going to be quite a bit less at day one than you would be just staying with the utility.
If you just stayed with the utility.
Almost with any size bill.
Right.
The bigger the bill, the more you're in that tier 2, the more savings that you'll see from that.
Okay, that makes sense. So since we brought up SDG&E,
there's your transition.
My thing is SDG&E, because we are on live radio, we're on ESPN, I don't want to go too deep into my personal opinions of SDG&E. However, I will politely say I think they're the big bad wolf. I think it's especially here, other states, Texas is a great example. You go to Dallas-Fort Worth, and they have multiple power companies competing with the general public to where you can choose who you want to get your power from. No different than telephone companies, because at the end of the day, the grid is the grid. No different than cell phones. Transit ASs, which is, if we were to get fancy about telephones, you have it's open air. It's air. And you're basically buying a company that's tapping into that air. That's what the grid is. But there's only one person at the top out here in San Diego. It's SDG&E. And they do whatever they want. It's like, you know what? We just did this one thing. We got popped for it. We got to pay a whole bunch of money. Guess what, consumers? We're raising our rates. And by the way, we just lost some money over here. Guess what? We're putting on these smart meters that are going to just charge you more money, because what are you going to do about it? And then people's options to fight back, the rebellion was, we're going to get solar, right? we're going to get solar, and we're going to rebel against SDG&E. We're taking them down. And honestly, the more research I did, and I did a ton of research for this, that doesn't really seem like the case. But I could be wrong. So, talking about SDG&E, what part do they play that's negative? What part do they play that's positive? And what are some of the things that are, what's the truth from your perspective of SDG&E if somebody was going to be locking into solar? Because again, this show's to protect people. So what should they expect?
Yeah, a lot of people are not happy with the utilities because basically they're essentially a government-sponsored monopoly, and so that is a bit of a disadvantage, right, as a consumer. But I've been to developing parts of the globe, and I've endured power outages 3 and 4 times a day,
right.
And when I did that, I had a new appreciation for SDG&E.
Right.
So, and that is a reality of what they provide, even for those of us that are going solar. They provide stability to the grid.
Mm-hmm.
Taking your home completely off the grid would be a very, very expensive proposition. I think that's coming. And Kris, you mentioned something which was really prescient. You talked about the phone companies and the analogy there between utility and phone companies. I think that's what's going to happen. I think
hope.
Ultimately, 2 decades ago, we were being charged by the minute, right, for all of our phone calls, which is how we are charged now for our energy, right, by the kilowatt hour. Now, what are you charged for?
Without getting into politics until after the election, but would San Diego actually allow multiple power companies to compete for the grid space and the sale of that space? That would be my concern. I don't think they would. There's too much money that's coming in for that, which in my opinion, I think there may even be lost benefits, because now you're talking about you guys have to put in permits. You have to request permits. You have to have SDG&E approve the plans. Now, it's benefit to the grid, right? Because it's supposed to be for their protection for the grid. They don't want you to put on crazy stuff. Otherwise, any mom and pop, I know solar, and they just throw on a power panel and plug in, right? We don't want that.
Right.
But at the same time, I think it's important to maybe look a little bit of the truth. Are they kind of are they overstepping, and could it be hurting the benefits to the customer, us, me, the people, if I wanted solar? I don't know.
I think they will be as time progresses.
Right.
We just went out of net metering 1.0 into net metering 2.0. They changed a few things in terms of how the consumer sees benefit there. I think the next step will be in 3.0 or 4.0. Right now, the nice thing is they're the cheapest form of power backup. They gain a benefit. Whatever your solar panels are producing during the day back feeds into the grid, helps the neighbors, helps stabilize brownouts and so forth. But at some point, the extra fees that they're tacking in are going to make us more like Hawaii. Most solar companies in Hawaii deploy batteries today.
Right.
Nobody deploys batteries
so
as a
Tesla
first
comes
option
out with something
here.
great here soon.
Well, they already have them.
Yeah.
They have it available. The problem is it doesn't pencil here because whether it's Edison, whether it's SDG&E, it's cheaper to use them as your backup source of power than it is anybody else. Now, what happens if the power goes out? If the power goes out, your solar goes out with it.
Right, you're just down.
So everybody's down.
Now, does SDG&E allow you to plug in a battery if you wanted it?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So they will allow you. I didn't know that.
If
so
you have the money and you want to spend it and you just simply want to be able to say, I'm doing it and I'm not feeding them anything extra, it's your option. It's just a costly option.
What is the legality of, can you unplug from SDG&E?
I'm not sure with SDG&E. I do know that you have to maintain the connection. But you can,
that's what I had been told.
I know of at least one place in Blythe where they have an off-grid scenario where they have simply just turned the breaker off.
Okay, but it's Blythe.
Well, we're doing a project like that in Fallbrook here shortly. So
interesting. I see. I'd be curious about that.
It's a pretty interesting project. So.
Right. We have to take a quick commercial break. As you know, we got to pay the bills. So this is just really, really cool. And I think the next segment that we talk about is what's going to really open up a few more questions. And what I'm hoping for is after this, the four of us can get together on Facebook Live and actually just go a little bit deeper because I'm getting a ton of questions on Facebook Live right now on my page.
Cool.
So definitely, let's take a quick commercial break. Let's pay the bills. We'll come back. We got a really great segment after this, so keep listening in. ESPN 1700 KSA Insider.
Alliance Escrow, the most reliable and hardworking escrow team in San Diego. Buying, selling, or refinancing a home can be a stressful event, and our friendly staff here at Alliance is ready to make your home buying or selling process as smooth as possible. We strive for outstanding customer service and are very dedicated to giving top quality service to each and every sale. Alliance Escrow will provide a special discount to active and reserve service members and disabled or retired veterans as well. Whether it's residential, commercial, bulk business, or refinance, call Alliance Escrow today and let us help you close your deal as seamlessly as possible. Call 619-609-0015 or go to www.allianceescrowinc.com today. That's 619-609-0015 or www.allianceescrowinc.com. Alliance Escrow, your partners in real estate.
Ty-Court Title of San Diego is the next generation of title companies. They offer their clients the most complete real estate services in the nation. They have 4 convenient locations in the greater San Diego area to service all your residential and commercial transactions. Ty-Court Title of San Diego offers you title and escrow solutions. Whether you are buying, selling, or refinancing, they have you covered. With over a century of experience, you can count on Ty-Court Title of San Diego. They have a solid history of servicing customers with high integrity, white glove service, and value. They also have unrivaled financial strength to back your policies. For all your real estate transactions, call Ty-Court Title of San Diego today at 619-260-5200.
Just last year, 429 million people had their identity stolen as a result of data breaches. Face it, your personal information is out there waiting to be hijacked. Identity theft not only damages your reputation, but costs you thousands of dollars while taking you years to resolve. Why take a chance? ID Cyber Center monitors and protects your bank and credit card accounts, social security number, and even your social media. If your ID is stolen, ID Cyber Center recovers your identity so you can live your life with ease. In today's virtual world, not having identity monitoring, protection, and recovery is like driving without auto insurance. Visit idcybercenter.com to learn more. Again, that's idcybercenter.com or call them at 855-829-6097. Remember, it's not just your identity, it's your life.
This is John Feinstein with a CBS Sports Minute. In case you hadn't noticed, the Oregon Ducks are drowning. Remember when Oregon routinely won 10 or more games a year and routinely competed for national titles under Mike Bellotti and Chip Kelly? Not so much anymore. In Mark Helfrich's fourth season, 2 years after playing in the national title game, the Ducks are going under. Saturday, playing at home, a place where for years they almost never lost, they were humiliated 70-21 by Washington, a team it had beaten 12 years in a row. Oregon is now 2-4. Helfrich lost a total of 4 games in his first 2 seasons as coach. Money can buy a lot in college football, and Nike founder Phil Knight has poured so much money into his alma mater's facilities, it's now known as Nike University. Money can't tackle, though, and suddenly Oregon is a college football afterthought. Wow. I'm John Feinstein.
CBS Sports Radio. O'Reilly.
A dead battery can leave you stranded, so get yours tested for free during Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Need a replacement? Purchase a Superstart Extreme or Superstart Platinum battery and get up to $25 in O'Reilly gift cards after a mail-in rebate. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome to the sweet spot, where your home gets the innovative appliances it needs and you get really low prices. Right now at the Home Depot, save up to 30% with special buys on the most innovative appliances, like a Samsung top-load washer and electric dryer. They both accommodate larger loads and they're just $498 each. Sweet. Nobody beats our prices, guaranteed, with up to 30% off appliances. Now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. While supplies last, U.S. only. Gas dryer extra. See store for details.
All right, San Diego, we're back. KSA Insider on ESPN 1700. I'm Chris McCullough, your host, and we're going to try to start just getting into the real deep stuff here. So one of the things that we've talked about, I think 3 or 4 times already through this conversation, is transactions, real estate transactions. You start deciding if you want to do a lease, PPA, all these different options that are available to you. But at the end of the day, if you are not going to stay with this solar for 20 to 30 years and you didn't buy it outright, you got to deal with a real estate agent. And unfortunately, I think a lot of real estate agents just don't know anything about solar, or they just know enough to get themselves in trouble. So, Kim, you're the expert. Please, let's talk about it. What do you think?
Sure. Well, interesting. I mean, I know I had this conversation with both of our guests before the show. We've sold dozens of homes. KSA has sold dozens of homes that have had solar. And, you know, usually when you get experience with a certain facet of a real estate transaction, when somebody whips out whatever it is they have going on, like, oh, the pool needs to be redone or whatever, you're like, I've dealt with it before. I know how to deal with it. I know who to call. I know, you know, whatever it is. Or, you know, anything like that, trust, probates, you do it a couple times. You have the experience. But with solar, that has never been the case, because
it's always new. It always feels like something new.
Dozens of homes that have had solar that we've sold, and literally no 2 of them have ever been alike in terms of the program or whatever it was that was used, with the exception, of course, of that it's completely owned outright and it's paid off in cash. Then that's fine. But and they're not all bad. They're not all good. They're not all bad. I've seen goods, pros and cons, you know, with the different lease programs, with even the Hero Loan, the much maligned Hero Loan. I've seen a couple of them that have turned out fine. But, you know, a lot of times the programs really hinder the sale, or they minimally make a lot more work for everybody.
Right.
The buyer all of a sudden finds out, okay, I just had to go through the qualification process for a mortgage. And in a lot of cases, they're maxing themselves out to get into that home, especially when you talk about your first-time home buyers that are getting into their starter home. They're maxing out because we're in San Diego County, right? Homes are extremely expensive. And then they find out halfway through the transaction, oh, and by the way, I have to go qualify again to take over the solar lease.
Right.
And usually, I've never had someone not qualify, because generally if they've just qualified for a mortgage, their credit and everything is good enough to qualify, but it scares them. It adds another layer of stress to the transaction for everybody, because now the seller's thinking, well, what if they don't qualify? It's another contingency that's placed on the transaction.
Because it sounds like, as I'm listening to you, it sounds like no matter what, it sounds like it ends up being complicated. Now, I can talk to a sales guy that's selling solar. I can talk to people that know solar, but at the end of the day, they know if they have solar in their house how to deal with it. Is it their agent's responsibility? Is it the homeowner's responsibility?
You know,
how do they fix it? How do you figure it out?
It's not always It's usually not that complicated when you actually get down to the steps of doing it. We're usually, as agents, especially again as agents, we've done this a bunch of times now. It's usually a couple pieces of paperwork, but so it doesn't necessarily add a lot of complication, but what it adds is stress, because it adds another contingency to the transaction. So for both parties, they're thinking, well, what if I don't qualify? As far as the responsibility, like you asked, it mostly falls on the agents right now. So normally what will happen...
Most agents don't know. Now, I'm glad this is happening, because I know there's a lot of real estate agents that listen to this show, and I don't think they know. I mean, most agents just don't, or they just kind of like seat of the pants. So what do you do?
They're getting...
Every time that you run into something, what do you specifically do to try to address solar issues?
Normally, it's, obviously at the listing appointment. It is actually in the residential listing agreement for the state of California. For California Association of Realtors,
That's new, right?
December of 2015, when they revised a lot of the documents in the CAR library, the leased and liened systems section was added to the listing agreement. So you used to have to write it in, and you had to remember to ask, and you had to remember to write it in and hope you were asking the right questions and getting the right info. Now it's actually in the listing agreement. So we know from the outset of the listing contract period whether or not there's leased or lien systems of any sort on the home. And so we know right away that we go ahead and, before we even get started marketing the home, I'm calling the solar company, because you ask the homeowner, a lot of times they don't know. I've had people tell me they don't know if it's a lease or not. They're like, well, I pay this much a month. Okay, is it a leased? Is it a loan? Do you own it? Is it a hero? They don't know. So, and that's not always, but I've had people that literally don't know. Like a salesman showed up, put a bunch of paper on their kitchen table, they signed it.
So it sounds like overall, it's one of those things where I think people should just be aware that it's going to be challenging, or it could be challenging unless they pay for it outright.
Correct.
It's the agent's responsibility. The homeowner, of course, should have at least some documentation provided.
Right, and sometimes they don't, and that's where, again, we jump in right away. We get on the phone with the solar company, and we get them to send us all the contracts. We read them. We ask the questions. Okay, this home is for sale. What is the process to get this accomplished? And the solar companies, I have to say, I've never had one where they weren't helpful. I mean, obviously, they probably have their systems on thousands or tens of thousands of homes. Of course, those homes sell, and there's, they have the experience of knowing what their company requires to get that done. So I've never had one just be utterly unhelpful. They usually are very informative and tell us what we need to do step by step.
Right.
But yeah, the ultimate responsibility for getting that accomplished typically falls on the agent.
Okay. Well, I want to transition real quick, and I don't mean to cut us off, but we're eating up. There's two more things that I really, really, really want to hit. So I want to transition from this, and I think the big takeaway for anybody that's listening is, it is the agent's responsibility. They do have paperwork specific, and you need to inform the agent, and hopefully from there, the agent can do the research to sort it out. Okay, perfect. And I want you to chime in on a couple of the other ones, because I think it's important, reaching back to what we just talked about, to prepare people. So really, it comes down to, how do we pick the right company? That's a big one. And next, I want to talk about the red flags, right? So how do we find the right company for us? And there's a ton of them out there. I think every day I turn around, there's a brand new solar company that just popped up out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, they've got plenty of solar stuff. So what are the recommendations out of the three of you? What are your recommendations to try to find the right company to actually put solar on your house? And let me tell you why. People treat solar people just like they treat real estate agents. The first one they run into, they're like, yep, you're my solar guy. And you see it all the time. I'm hanging out in Home Depot. Hey, have you thought about solar? I have. You're my solar guy. They do the same thing with real estate agents. You sell real estate? I was thinking about selling my real estate. They don't do any research. It could be a guy that just got his license yesterday, but because they met him, they go. So recommendations across the board. We'll start over here.
Sure. I would first recommend, what kind of company are they fundamentally? Are they, what I would call an solar company? A lot of people have hopped into the solar game that maybe were doing windows at one point, or maybe they were doing,
I've seen roofers.
Roofers, yeah. These are all people that I would call the solar companies. And, that's your first clue that maybe they may not be the most informed and the most up-to-date on the different technologies and processes and so forth. They just saw an opportunity and they wanted to get involved.
Right.
So, that would be number one. The other thing you can look at is, obviously online reviews. Those are very important, but also look at their license classifications. That's getting into the weeds a little bit, right? But people can
I'm curious about that.
Yeah, people can get what's called a C46 license classification. That is a solar license classification. Typically, they're not the most adept at the electrical issues. They've just qualified under the solar rules.
That's really good info to know.
So look in and see if they have a C10 qualifier, and then also I would say a B qualifier is important. That's a general contracting license. So with a B and a C10, you're fully capable of handling any of the electrical issues. But then also a lot of times there's roofing issues that pop up, and you don't want to have to contract.
We had our whole roof cave in, and we cut it out of this episode because it's just not enough time. But our entire roof caved in because they did the roof wrong, and then said, "Oh, it was a flashing on your fireplace." I'm like, flashing? Hold on a second. So I flip a lot of houses. I'm a real estate investor. I had my roofer come over, and he's like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your flashing."
Right.
And it collapsed our entire roof. But trust me, I got them to pay. I was pretty mad about it. So what would be your thing when you start talking about picking the guy or the girl, but the company that you want to have come in and do solar for you? How would you, knowing what you know, how would you go out and research to find them?
So I think there's a few things. I think, like John had mentioned, checking out their reviews, asking for references, get a feel for how they do their business. What products are they offering? Do they even talk about the product? If you're looking to purchase it and they don't ever tell you what kind of panel they're using or what type of technologies or anything else, they could be putting anything that they want to put up there because they got a better price on it.
It's like, here's the paint.
I know some people that do solar that are contractors and do other things, and whatever the customer qualifies, they put the least expensive product that they can put up, and the customer still saves, but they don't make the same savings that they could over the life of the system by doing a little bit more research.
So they basically are, I'm not saying they're taking advantage of the customer, but they aren't giving them a square deal.
They're just not doing what they could do.
Right. Okay.
For the customer. They're still taking care of them. I think every solar deal, there's very few that I've come across that were negative. There are some very negative ones out there that people have just completely done wrong by the customers.
Right.
But as a whole, any program that's out there will typically save a homeowner. Some will save them more than others. And that's where they really need to do some homework and kind of get a feel for their situation and what's going to best benefit them.
You both just said something, and this is, I know on past shows, I always talk about this, and this is why I think the show is so important. And you both said something, and I don't think you realized what you said because it makes sense to you. Right. When I was in the Marine Corps, I used to always say, and you would walk into, I'd walk into admin and say, hey, I have a problem with my pay. And they go, well, you should know this. And I was like, hey, I'm not a freaking admin guy. I don't do admin. Why should I know that? I didn't go to school to learn how to deal with my pay specifically to you. And, I've gotten a couple classes over the 20 years I was in, but I don't know your job, right? So I heard what you said. You both said, well, they should ask these questions. How do people even know to ask? I don't know. So I know a little bit about some of the classifications, but I don't know about all of them. So how would people even know about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I would say you definitely want to take the time to educate yourself about the industry and what some of those things are. You can look online, you can ask other people that have gone solar. But you need to kind of go through, perhaps a few different companies. I shouldn't say that, right? I should just say call JDS Power and be done. Yeah. But honestly, sometimes the easiest appointments we've been on are people that have talked to 3 or 4 others. So,
so they've actually So if anybody that's listening, the reason
sounds
why
familiar, Kris.
I know, right? Anybody that's listening, I want to express that it's important that you do some research. You could listen to this show and you could say, oh, I feel like I know solar. Or you could meet one solar person and it makes sense. Look, do your research. Spend a couple weeks. Spend a month. Spend however long it is. Ask a bunch of people. But at the end of the day, if you don't, you may get took. If you don't, you may get took.
Write down your questions.
Yeah.
As you come across them, write them down. At that point, when you sit down with your solar professional, you'll have a list of things like, how long are you going to guarantee my roof won't leak?
Right.
How long are the panels going to be good? What happens if I sell my house?
Right.
Some real basic ones.
Awesome. Well, you know what? We got one more commercial. We're going to come back. We're going to knock out the last couple ones. And the big one for me is I want to know what your guys' recommendations are on how to pick a solar person, which, basically the red flags. What are the red flags in order to pick that person? So if they say, oh, yeah, this is what it is, call it a day. So one more time, ESPN 1700, KSA Insider. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come right back.
Tycor Title of San Diego is the next generation of title companies. They offer their clients the most complete real estate services in the nation. They have 4 convenient locations in the greater San Diego area to service all your residential and commercial transactions. Tycor Title of San Diego offers you title and escrow solutions. Whether you are buying, selling, or refinancing, they have you covered. With over a century of experience, you can count on Tycor Title of San Diego. They have a solid history of servicing customers with high integrity, white glove service, and value. They also have unrivaled financial strength to back your policies. For all your real estate transactions, call Tycor Title of San Diego today at 619-260-5200.
Alliance Escrow, the most reliable and hardworking escrow team in San Diego. Buying, selling, or refinancing a home can be a stressful event, and our friendly staff here at Alliance is ready to make your home buying or selling process as smooth as possible. We strive for outstanding customer service and are very dedicated to giving top quality service to each and every sale. Alliance Escrow will provide a special discount to active and reserve service members and disabled or retired veterans as well. Whether it's residential, commercial, bulk business, or refinance, call Alliance Escrow today and let us help you close your deal as seamlessly as possible. Call 619-609-0015 or go to www.allianceescrowinc.com today. That's 619-609-0015 or www.allianceescrowinc.com. Alliance Escrow, your partners in real estate.
Hi, I'm Philippe Heller with the Real Estate Inspection Company. When buying real estate today, it's more important than ever to have a thorough home inspection to protect yourself. When quality and experience count, contact the Real Estate Inspection Company. We're the largest home inspection company serving San Diego for 10 years. After checking hundreds of items throughout a house, we provide a detailed, computer-generated inspection report. And we use the newest and best infrared thermal imaging at every inspection 7 days a week. Check us out at sdinspect.com. That's sdinspect.com.
So here at the Mighty 1090, we have this office space. We've got these old pictures on the wall. I was looking the other day, we had a meeting. I see my guy Mike Shepard in there before La Jolla Hair, MD, before he called 844-567-HAIR, and then I'm looking at him after. I swear, Mike, I see you every single day, but to look at the pictures then to now, it was stunning what's happened at the top of your head.
You know what? It's even stunning to me because I look up there and it's like, who's the bald guy? That was me.
Right.
And I actually have hair now, thanks to Dr. Shafu and his team at La Jolla Hair MD, LaJollaHairMD.com, and the NeoGraft procedure, which is a revolutionary breakthrough in hair restoration.
Absolutely. And Mike, here's the thing about NeoGraft. No scalpel, no scar, no pain, no downtime. And everybody out there, the call is free. So what do you have to lose? The first consultation's free. Call now. If it works for you, Mike, $1,000 off.
Absolutely. It's La Jolla Hair MD, LaJollaHairMD.com. Give them a call, 844-567-HAIR. 844-567-HAIR.
Turn down that radio!
If you finally decided to address your hearing loss, the MD Hearing Aid Air is a medical-grade hearing aid that costs up to 90% less than traditional hearing aids. Designed by a Chicago doctor, the MD Hearing Aid Air has a sleek, nearly invisible profile. This digital hearing aid incorporates technology and features found in hearing aids costing thousands of dollars. The Air offers advanced noise reduction, making speech clearer and virtually eliminating annoying background noise. 3 environmental settings put you in control. You select the best setting for your location. Call 1-800-758-2010. Over 100,000 satisfied customers have already made the call. Call right now for our exclusive 45-day risk-free trial and get free shipping and a year's worth of free batteries, a $50 value. Call MD Hearing Aid at 1-800-758-2010. Satisfaction guaranteed. That's 1-800-758-2010.
All right, San Diego, we're back. KSA Insider, we're going to run down. We're pretty much almost done today. So I want to ask my 2 solar experts, John, Kevin, what is your number 1 red flag? If somebody sits there and they go into an interview, if they get this red flag, they walk away. What's your number 1? John?
Well, one of the first things I would look at is, how long have they been in business? Did they just get in the game? Do they really know what they're doing with solar?
Right.
That's
They've been in it for a month, you
red.
should probably say no.
Absolutely.
Unless you have like a tiny home.
No, not even then.
Probably not.
Just get them.
Okay, and what's going to be yours, Kevin?
My number 1 probably would be if they're sitting there with you at the table and they're trying to hard close you. This should not be a business of hard closing. It makes sense or it doesn't.
It should sell itself.
Fortunately, it usually makes sense. But I do have to throw in, they should be talking a little bit about the product that they're going to use as well. Because there are differences in the qualities of the product and what can be put up on a roof. And you can get real low-balled stuff.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to do
well.
a separate Facebook Live episode, and I want to get deeper into that because I think there's a lot that's going on. So thank you both. Thank you, Kim, for joining me today. Of course, you know, Kim's my boss outside of the radio here. She's my boss, Kim Steele & Associates. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining me, and thank you, everybody, for listening. You know, solar is a multi-billion-dollar business, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So if I were to speculate, I would say 5 to 10 years, solar won't be an option. I think it's going to become something that you just have, and what variation you have on your home, at least when it comes to people's homes. So what I want to say is, before we get off the air, how can people get a hold of you two? And I'll get Kim, I'll talk about how people can get a hold of Kim Steele & Associates, but how can people find you?
Sure, you can find us on our website, which is jdspower.com, or you can call 855-JDS-POWER.
Awesome. Kevin?
Mine, you can reach me at Kevin Trafford. My cell is 760-604-9434. Or you can call in at Semper Solaris or check us out on our website.
Awesome. And I am Chris McCullough. I'm your host. You can find us at ksadreamhomes.com or go on Kim Steele, 2 E's and an L, no E at the end, Kim Steele and Associates on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, just about everything. I think even Twitter. I think the only thing we haven't done so far is Snapchat. I mean, that's just because I'm getting old, I guess, and I haven't completely figured out how to implement Snapchat yet. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, San Diego. We appreciate you. KSA Insider, hope we're giving you the scoop that you really need to protect yourself out there in the real estate market. Have a great one, and we'll be seeing you soon. Check us out.